morning and welcome to the most based crypto channel on the entire internet. Today is looking pretty fucking crazy. We have Bitcoin dumping, a lot of worries about what the Bank of Japan's about to do this week. We're going to dive into that, but also 2026, a hyperinflationary storm is now on the horizon. Unfortunately, we're going to figure out a way to protect our assets in this next year because things are about to get crazy, and domestic Christmas massacres are absolutely striking fear into people's hearts right now. We had attacks in Australia, we had Browning, and the UK is basically reaching its tipping point right now as we're speaking. So we're going to dive into all of this and more on today's show. Make sure to smash the like, share the show out with the world, folks. I work tirelessly to bring you the information that maybe people don't want to hear, but we need to know as we move forward into the next year, because, man, things are about to get brutal. Now, please do make sure to follow me on X at Drew Crypto. And man, I'll tell you what, me and the wife, we got out of the house for 4 hours. I mean, we don't get out much. Felt a little fancy. Now she's getting recruited by modeling agencies. Unbelievable. I'm sitting here getting these text messages right now. Absolutely unreal. But shout out to you, love. Tia, she went into that room. She mogged everyone. I'm not going to lie. She mogged the entire room. It is what it is. God, I love that woman. Now, things are looking pretty brutal on Bitcoin. Obviously, we have the price action first and foremost we'll dive into. But as you roll in, say good morning. Let me know how you're doing. Is it cold where you are right now? The chicken water was frozen. Very, very difficult to keep the chicken water unfrozen and warm in this environment. On the East Coast, it's getting pretty freaking cold. Let's check out Bitcoin looking cold as ice. Where's the Santa rally? This is more like a Satan rally going on right now. We are dumping into the morning. Obviously, we had the wonderful 10 a.m. giga dump. 15-minute candles on the downside were just something out of Satan's rule book right here. I mean, this is absolutely crazy. So last week, actually, I had this kind of difficult moment tagged, kind of a, hit our head on the shelf moment at 89.8. The quant's been putting in a lot of shorts, kept the Discord nice and happy and fed, and we have fallen by 3.5% so far. It's like, Josh, it's not cold where you are. Where are you at, Josh? Deucey, good morning. Pain. Yes, this is what this is pain on the charts here. Liquidation levels have all been washed out. Now, even more, some new longs are opening up, 86.1. Oh, God. Oh, God, this is looking brutal right now. So just, if you are trading, stop losses are indeed your friend. Okay, stop losses are your friend. And a lot of what's going on right now is, in my opinion, pricing in some of the Japanese news. Need the Bitcoin cowboy into rally cap. Lol. Oh, we need the rally cap? Maybe. I mean, right now, I can't really, I don't really feel that rally. Is it in the room with me? It's, looking pretty grim, honestly. And so with all this going on, the pain and also the hyperinflationary storm on the horizon, we have to be very, very careful about altcoins, folks. We really do. I'm going to be talking about that. Yes, I'm going to keep some exposure to some of the, altcoins that I've gotten into, but I am being very conservative moving into 2026. Bitcoin and a few other select alts are basically where my money's going to be, on top of, the stock market. I got some stock market plays that I'm going to be sticking with, but honestly, like, this thing is looking nasty. Now on the larger time frame, I'll give you some hopium here. Deucey, I know you're looking for some hopium straight into the veins. We did end up clearing last week's candle, holding and developing that double green dot, which, gives some business for the bulls to stand up on. This juice right here in the 81 to 82, 83 spot can act as another bounce point, but man, we have some work to do if we're going to prove ourselves back up into those previous ranges. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on this week that are going to be playing into the difficulties, right? And with all this craziness, attention in crypto is at an all-time low, right? Attention in crypto at an all-time low. Over the past 5 years, it's never been as low as it has. no one outside of our circles is paying attention anymore. Pretty bearish, but honestly, might open up some opportunities for me to get low entry points on my favorite crypto, which is Bitcoin. If I get sub $10 Chainlink, yes, I'll top off. If I get sub $1 Morpho, yes, I'll top off. But, you know, right now it's looking pretty brutal out there. And there's a reason why. So what we got is economic experts actually believe Japan is going to raise their interest rates. This could create a snap flash. Now, what I see on the charts, I think a lot of this sell-off is being baked into the economic understanding that there is a strong potential of a Japanese interest rate hike. But Trump's out here beating his drum. He's like, oh, we're going to make sure that interest rates are low, right? And he's saying this, they're going to bring interest rates down. And he's talking about inflation, right? Now, we have to discuss this in a very honest manner because, yeah, I voted for Trump and I want him to succeed. I also wanted Biden to succeed. I did not vote for Biden, but Biden was my president. We're in a situation right now where we have Trump coming up on stage saying things like this. And let's have a quick listen before I dive into my further thoughts on this.
The worst inflation in the history of our country. Prices were the highest they ever were. And what we're doing is bringing them down. We now have inflation is totally neutralized. We may get it a little bit lower. You don't want to get it you don't want deflation. Deflation is in many ways worse than inflation. But we have a record setting. We have more people on Friday. We had more people working on Friday than at any time in the history of our country. Think of that.
All right. So I want to start off with you guys in the chat. Do you feel inflation waning? Are prices in aggregate getting cheaper for you? Let's be honest with ourselves. Let's look internally and analyze things. I want to see in the chat, 1, if yes, inflation is gone. 2, if no, inflation is still kicking me in the teeth. I want to get a general vibe from where the chat is. Maybe you live in a location where things are getting better. So I do want to know what you have to say about that. Because now we got to dive into some data, right? Now we got to dive into some data. Basically, twos across the board in the arena and on YouTube, twos across the board. I'm looking for a 1, and I do not see a 1. Oh, Jesus. Bank of Japan hiking rate 75 base points on the 19th. Holy shit. Oh, many twos. Yeah. All right. So let's dive into the data. Let's dive into what's actually going on here. So overall inflation, CPI is up 87%. Health insurance premiums are up 319%. And they wonder why most Americans feel like they're falling behind. Now, some further data on this to back this up. Car insurance bills. This guy, David, his car insurance bill is now $1,500 in 2024. It was $600 in 2020. That's a 250% increase. He's asking the obvious question, how in the literal fuck is inflation down if all of our expenses, the things that we have to do, the things that are mandated at gunpoint by law enforcement to have car insurance, right? They'll take your car, put you in jail. Maybe they'll find some other things to get you in trouble for. How are things that are enforced at gunpoint tripling, quadrupling, centupling in cost, yet we're left with the talking point that inflation's gone down and we're good to cut interest rates? Now let's talk about what this will end up looking like, because larger institutions, the $120 trillion industry of single family, now plans to hide their information. Fannie and Freddie Mac are cutting back on the information that they publish. Oh, joy. I'm sure that they're hiding their information because it's so good, right? The new guy coming in, Trump, is asking where he wants interest rates to be for the next year on his new Federal Reserve chairman, and he wants them at 1%. Maybe even lower than that. Oh, so we can cut inflation on top of the falsified data that the Federal Reserve is using. That sounds like a great combination. This is what ends up happening. So the Fed just admitted that the markets are not going to buy $9 trillion worth of federal debt coming due. The Federal Reserve is going to have to do this. Now, what's going to happen is you're going to see one of the largest prints of fiat trash currency in the United States, not only since 2020, but since the 1940s, leading into World War II. Also, the 1940s move led to a 20% inflation rate, and Germany also notably was stuck in this situation in the 1930s that led to hyperinflation, what is known as the Weimar Republic. Now, the Weimar Republic drove the populace to take a very, very physical view of what usury had done to the economy and led to the largest war the world's seen so far, right? And I say so far because I am of the opinion that things are at a boiling point in this regard once again. This, on top of all the attacks from other nations and nationalities in the United States, in Australia, in the UK, are basically building a boiling point of civil unrest. Now, hyperinflation is a very, very strong sign. In Mitchell Askew, he's saying hyperinflation is a sign of God's judgment. Revelation, the last book of the Bible, describes a hyperinflationary scenario where one day's wage only purchases enough food for a single day. A quart of wheat for a denarius. With this in mind, it's worth considering the implications of our current monetary system. Central banking and fiat currency is a modern-day equivalent of Nero's coin clipping in the first century Rome, and the Federal Reserve has overshot the target inflation rate for the past 5 years. Is this a sign America is under God's judgment? Well, from how things are looking, it does indeed feel that we are falling into that massive judgment zone right now. Oh, man. When we got to go look at Bitcoin's price right now, guys. I'm sitting here talking, and we are zipping to the downside. Let's take a look at the scarier candles on the 1 minute. And we are now at $86,000, almost flat, $86,000. Holy shit, the markets are not liking the news. The markets are listening to the show. They are not feeling good. Now, as we head into this next few years, I do have the main concern of not only domestic attacks, protecting my family, but also how to protect my money, how to keep up with the inflationary storm on the horizon. Now, what's going on right now macroeconomically obviously is a complete shit show. Many countries are being forced into quantitative easing as their inflation is going ballistic, and this is leading to the stagflationary blow-off top for gold that we saw in the 79 to 80s movement that's just repeating itself, right? So Russia sees the writing on the wall for what the United States, the Trump administration is doing. I did make a video about this on Discover Crypto this weekend, but honestly, people don't want to hear the long-term bullish outlook of Bitcoin. They want to just be scared and poked in the behind as things move down. But Russia is now accusing the United States of trying to use crypto to wipe out its $35 trillion debt. Putin's advisor, Kobyakov, has said that Washington will shove debt into stablecoins, devalue it, and reset the system. But on top of this, the United States likely going to roll out this stablecoin infrastructure as a Trojan horse into world economies across the planet. This is coming, and there is no avoiding it. Now, how we position ourselves, stay ahead of it, we're going to have to be thinking well on our feet. Now, and just a quick side note, this is something I had when I was a child. I had a waterbed. Did you guys have a waterbed? Listen, just look at this. I don't know if this is like new information to people, but it's been a while since I thought about waterbeds. One in chat if you ever had one of these. Two, if you don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
This was the craziest invention of the 1980s. A bed that could literally move like water. In 1987, 22% of Americans were sleeping on waterbeds. Back then, if you didn't have one, it was like not having an iPhone today. The waterbed was once seen as the furniture of the future. Using 300 liters of water, PVC membranes, and a heating system, its designer created the world's first zero-pressure bed. When you lay down, the mattress would gently ripple and flow, wrapping your body like warm ocean waves. Its ad slogan boldly promised, sleep deeper. Love better. People went wild for it.
See, love better. I mean, I had a waterbed. it was basically like trying to catch my balance every time. And the bigger I got, the more uncomfortable thing. I eventually my ass would hit the ground. You know, it would go all the way through it. The heater would go out. And also, like, my brother, he would be stashing handles of liquor in the side of his bed. And they would eventually be found, right? But it made for a really bad situation, right? If you didn't clean the underside of the bed, especially if you're if you're eating in your bed and then the food falls out down there, it rots. Very bad situation. So I'm actually very glad that waterbeds aren't a thing anymore. My dad, he built me my own waterbed. Yes, I slept on it because he built it for me, and I respected that. But yeah, I'm glad that waterbeds are no longer a thing. It looks like a lot of the chat actually knows. No cats allowed. Right? You would not have cats on there. And I would poke it with somehow, like something in my pants would fall out and it would poke a hole in the damn thing. And I'd wake up covered in freaking water. You know, not the greatest thing in the world. Hey, Drew, hanging in there. Mama Crypto, good to see you. 1999, I had the half water, half foam mattress. Okay, so like a hybrid. It's probably the best. The hybrid sounds like an interesting play. I didn't ever get seasick. No, I never got seasick, but the hybrid waterbed sounds like an interesting move. Sounds like an interesting move there. Now, yes, we talk about other things other than our bags and our money here, and some very serious situations happened over the last weekend. And one of them, first one on my mind, is the Brown University shooting. And one of those killed was a sophomore, Ella Cook, identified as one of the shooting victims, a devoted Christian and committed conservative. The announcement was made during a service at Cathedral Church of the Advent in Birmingham, Alabama. Some of you haven't heard a lot. You've heard of the tragedy yesterday at Brown University, the shooting and the number of people. Tragically, one of the parishioners, Ella Cook, was one of those shot and killed yesterday. Those of you who knew her, she was an incredible, grounded, faithful, bright light. Governor of Alabama, Will Ainsworth, had also released a statement. Ella Cook, sophomore at the student of Birmingham, was killed in the shooting at the Brown University on Saturday. I hate how universities are gun-free zones. They're targets. This is not the way that you have a safe and civil society, is by having the aggregate, the sheep unarmed. This is not the right move. Ella was a devoted Christian and committed conservative who represented the very best of Alabama. Now, I haven't seen official reports on who the shooter was. I almost feel like the media is keeping that information under lock and key. If you guys, anyone in the chat, has seen who the shooter was, I'd love to get that information as well as I go through this information. I was down the street from Brown when this happened. Oh my God, Dion, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, very, very sad for all the families and victims. Now, that shooting happened, and then also a country that's taken away total gun rights, except for I think they have firearms licenses, is Australia. Now, Australia had this occur. So there was a shooting in Australia, and it was two assailants. Now, there was a bystander that actually tackled the shooter and got the weapon from him, right?
Oh!
So very brave. The guy was out there shooting, and they were using bolt action rifles. He gets the rifle from him. He doesn't shoot, holds him at gunpoint. And honestly, probably didn't pull the trigger because in Australia, they would be going after you. They'd be putting you in prison if you would have killed the terrorist, which is highlighted by Upstate Federalist here. But the police response, here's the police that were unable to honestly respond to this shooting, completely under-equipped, under-trained. And what in the literal fuck are we doing having women outnumbering the men in terms of this response? This is absolutely insane. I don't understand this. This seems wrong to me, right? And some of the calls to take the guns away have been loud and proud in Australia since the shooting. They're saying they need to limit how many guns each household can own, regulate the type of guns you can own, create a database of every gun owner and what the guns they own, encourage gun owners to hand in their guns, let them use it to pay fines, for example, give them incentive of turning it in, for instance. And, here in the United States, if you limit the amount of guns that each household can own, then you take away the ability for Americans to push back against the government monopoly on violence, right? Australia has given those away. Yeah, one dude stomped the head of the shooters, and I was about that. I saw that. Stomped the head of the shooter. Very, very nice work. Now, regulate the type of guns that you can own is already done. We have things like that here in the United States where you can't own fully automatic assault rifles. You already can't own those without a federal firearms license. But some of the idiotic talking points of the left say that, oh, you can go out there and get fully automatic assault rifles, and we need to ban assault rifles. You already have to go through a strenuous FFL check, a background check to be able to get those. Now, databases of every gun owner and what guns they own, that's already being built to the background here in the United States. And that's something that I disagree with because it basically puts a target on your head as a person that must be taken out if they want to roll out tyranny actual. And encouraging gun owners to turn the guns in, they've tried it over and over again. It doesn't work. Instead, now, where in the hell is the gun on this woman? Why do they not have their firearms in their hand? Chat, just educate me on this. Do Australian police officers even carry weapons? Is this even part of their outfit? What the hell good are they as police officers if they don't have firearms? I don't see any good in it. I don't see any good in it. Now, this is the basic vibe. From the PM, the Prime Minister said this: in response to the attack, we're introducing stricter gun laws and promoting more multicultural awareness, right? That's what they need, more multicultural awareness. It's so backwards. This is clown world. My eyes twitch, right? And this is why I train every single morning, and most of my training is in hand-to-hand combat. Now, also, dry fire, very, very important to do when I'm on my own. When I have time to myself, dry fire is a very, very important part of my weekly routine. And also, making sure that those systems are constantly maintained, constantly ready to go is another part of the process here. But I do encourage you, if you have the ability, this world needs more men of stature. And if you have the ability to work out, to train yourself, be the kind of man that induces good behavior when you walk into a room. And you don't have to sit there and bark at everyone. Your stance, your posture, your direct eye contact, your lack of fear induces good behavior around you. I have many stories about this. I live in the outskirts of Atlanta. And yes, I have had very, very limited bad behavior around me. Because guess what? Most of the time around my 4 kids, and I ain't fucking playing. When people want to act out, they look me up and down, they think about it, and they don't, right? Now, in the United States, yeah, more alphas, less betas. Absolutely. Absolutely. So Trump is talking about land strikes in Venezuela now. And Trump is saying that they're starting. Trump just had announced the U.S. is expanding military operations from the sea to land in Venezuela. 96% of the drugs coming in by water, every one of those boats you see gets shot down. We knocked out 96% of the drugs coming in by water, and now we're starting by land. By land is a lot easier. Oh boy, that's going to start happening, and we're not going to be having people destroying our youth, destroying our families. And I'm about this. Shut the damn drug flow down. A major escalation since September. U.S. forces have conducted over 20 strikes on alleged drug boats in the Caribbean, killing at least 87 people. Earlier this week, special forces seized a massive oil tanker off of the Venezuela coast, and Trump has been telegraphing his moves for weeks, saying Maduro's days are numbered and that he knows where the bad ones live. He very much so probably does have that information. Now it's happening. And also, the U.S. Special Forces raided a ship heading from China to Iran, and they seized military equipment on that very, very ship. So things are indeed heating up, right? Things are very much indeed heating up on the Navy, on the Venezuela side, internally with domestic civil unrest pushes. And with the main point of the pressure cooker of civil unrest comes the United Kingdom. Now, here is a UK patriot talking about this. I have some folks watching that are from the UK, and I want your guys' opinion if you see things heating up even further. This British patriot has some words for Keir Starmer, and let's have a listen to him.
To Keir Starmer, Do you think the British fucking men are going to leave this fucking country and fight a proxy war while you've let in over 2 million fucking animals? Are you mad? You can push this fucking war as much as you want. You can try pushing the fucking vaccines. We're fucking awake here, you silly cunt. We know the vaccines are depopulation. We know the fucking wars is just to depopulate and kill people and you to earn more money. Do you think we're dopey? After Christmas, I can fucking promise you this. Massive protest in London. Massive. And it's going to go on for days. It's not going to be violent. It's not going to be aggressive. It's going to be passionate. You're going to hear the fucking lie in every British person roar till the fucking windows shatter. Again, not inciting riots, racism, hatred, or anything like that. I'm just fucking telling you what's coming, Kia.
She's pretty fucking serious. And I have heard the same kind of sentiment out of basically everyone that I know out from the UK. Vladimir Putin has also made his comments on the UK. This guy getting arrested for sure in the UK. You know what? Are they going to arrest them all? Right? Yes, they're still fighting with swords, right? And yes, they're unarmed, but there are millions and millions of pissed off fathers in the United Kingdom. There does come a point where you basically have no other way to do your life but to push back. Now, Vladimir Putin said this week that he doesn't fear the United Kingdom as they can't even stop rubber boats from invading their country or foreign men from raping their women and children. Plus, he said that the British people hate their leader. Now, the hatred for their leader is pretty serious, but on the topic of Russia pushing into intentions into the UK, that's where you get NATO actual. That's where you get Article 5, and that's where World War III hits a hot zone for the United States. So it is not seeming like it's calming down. As I highlighted last week, the Ukrainian-Russia war is not calming down, and the UK is starting to even get preemptive moves from the protest against digital IDs from the government that wants to roll them out because they understand they're getting arrested for their online posts. And if they have a digital ID, digital way of money, there will be no freedom out there. Gary Cardone highlighted this as well. Shout out to you. And with all of this, NATO is having some difficulties recruiting troops. And a main one of NATO is Germany. Now, Germany goes on a pretty big problem right now. So history continues to weigh on the military recruitment in Germany, right? The constant berating that your historical upbringing is wrong and that everything about you was wrong. So you have a lack of military interest from the youth because they have been told that everything about their history and their nationality is wrong. And a recent poll found that an overwhelming majority of 15 to 25-year-olds would not take up arms. And if voluntary numbers fall short, the government reintroduces the draft. So this is what Germany is facing. And this is what happens when you basically tell your entire culture that their existence is incorrect. Then you're not going to have patriotism. You're not going to have high military recruitment numbers because the youth don't like who they are, right? Yeah. So teaching your children and that your country sucks is evil. It's just normal education. Yeah. It's so insane. It's so insane. We need more Rammstein. We need more based Germans coming out. Now, this happened here in Georgia. A church-going woman out of Georgia, 46, suffered severe burns in a random toxic chemical attack while walking at the park. Police are searching for this future scholar here pictured, and he randomly walked up to this woman right after her church, poured chemicals all over her face, and disfigured her for life for absolutely no reason. I do implore you, if you have the ability, please, for the love of God, stay vigilant, stay armed, and pay attention. Being armed is one thing, but also the mindset of vigilance is a whole nother thing. And you have to add the two together to stay up to date with how evil this world can actually get. You may mean well, you may be a good person. It doesn't mean that the people around you are well or intending good things, right? Now, this is an interesting training tip. I found this very wonderful. I did this back in the day, but it kind of escaped my mind, and it's not on my rifles right now. Avoid getting a rock or debris stuck in your barrel suppressor with this easy trick. Tape your rifle or your muzzle suppressor. And I do have tape in the bag. It's just not on there. Electrical tape is what he uses and recommends as well. PNW, Pacific Northwest Guerrilla, absolutely fantastic person to follow. He doesn't follow me back. I like what he does, and he runs a great military surplus store online. Keep the debris out while frolicking in the woods. It doesn't affect your shooting at all. And also, frolicking in the woods, important for keeping up that stamina. If you don't already have some sort of gym routine to do that for yourself. Now, yes, the world is a crazy place. Yes, the crypto bags are down really hard, but there is true evil in this world that we must acknowledge. And it's not just enough to acknowledge it. We must poison the evil that is in this world. Now, this is a comment Governor Newsom's press office put out in response to Elon Musk about his lamenting of his son, who is now thinking that he's a daughter. Correct. We're sorry your daughter hates you. It was his son. Floods your schools with propaganda telling your little boy he's a girl. Makes fun of you when it works and tears up your family and takes all of your tax dollars and gives it to millions of imported illegals and blocks ID voting so you can't vote them out. Cool party you got over there, Gavin Newsom. What an absolute fuckface. Holy shit. This stuff just makes my blood boil. Now, it's important as we move forward into the next few years here to make good connections with neighbors, right? And to do as much good for we can for our neighbors within the bounds of allowance. I understand some neighbors are just absolutely unhelpable, right? I had this experience with one neighbor. Now he's moved away. But my other neighbors are absolutely fantastic, right? The new neighbor that moved in is great. And I want to ask you guys this because I'm starting to question if we do just truly live in a simulation. The people inside my computer, are you real? 1, yes, you're real. 2, for no, you're not real. Might be surrounded by robots here. And I want to ask you this question. Have you ever seen your neighbor bringing in groceries? I have never seen my neighbor bring in groceries. Okay. I have never seen them, and I've talked to them. I stand in front of them. I speak to them all the time, help them out. I've never seen them bring in groceries. Okay. Have you ever seen your neighbor bring in their groceries? This is something we must ask. These are the tough questions we must ask here in the blockchain basement. They despawn when they enter their house. Maybe, man. Yeah, most park in the garage and unload. That's a good point. Here in Georgia, though, no one uses their garages. Right? No one uses their garages. I'm glad to see. All right, so you've seen them. Pizza Man's never seen them. I blew your mind, right? I mean, it makes you question things. Now, let's check out some altcoins here. And as I said, be careful with these alts, right? There's not much hyper speculation I'm willing to do on altcoins right now. Because again, before I get into altcoins, I got to talk about this. So what we're on the precipice of is stagflation in a hyperinflationary environment. And Bitcoin has never been here, or gold has, silver has. Holding Bitcoin into this, I'm not saying that it's just a gimme up only win, right? I acknowledge that Bitcoin's never seen this situation before, and Bitcoin is almost like a teenager compared to the old man, the wise man of gold, the wise man of silver. So when I say this, yes, I'm going to buy nasty dips, and if I can get at the previous all-time high of Bitcoin around 70K, 65K, maybe that yen carry trade situation watches us all the way down to that. In that situation, yes, I'm buying more Bitcoin. But also having to think about diversification, more nuclear stocks on the horizon. Tesla is probably one of the best asymmetric bets this century in terms of AI systems. Elon's building something well beyond the scope of ChatGPT with Everything app, with XAI, with SpaceX, with the Boring Company. Elon's hitting this from many, many different angles. And we have to think about how to protect ourselves and how we can outpace the hyperinflationary storm coming. Now, within that, a small basket of alts to take a shot at really outpacing the inflation is on my mind as well. Now, the first and foremost winner in alts is Ethereum. Secondarily, Chainlink, right? So I want to take a look at Ethereum right now and see how it's performing as Bitcoin is absolutely gushing blood all over the street. We're sitting right under $3,000 right now. General hyper support zone is coming upon us right now, and that hyper support zone was proven, and this box did hold in the last washout, right? It does appear that we want to take another vibe check in this little box of interest here. And now if that box in the support zone breaks down, then I'm starting to look down here in the freaking $2,200, $2,300 zone. And that green line in the sand actually should be right at about $2,300. We are on the precipice of the great unknown. We're going into next year, cutting interest rates into inflation, and we are in for a macroeconomic storm. Now, how Bitcoin and Ethereum react to stagflation, we have zero data on. Bitcoin, Ethereum have never seen this type of scenario before. They've never seen a $120 trillion industry of single-family housing hiding its data. They've never seen the US government literally faking inflation data so that they can justify cutting interest rates into it, right? But taking risks and leaning into the danger is how I was able to change my life in a very, very great way in 2020 during the COVID crash, where everyone said, oh, it's all over with. We're going to stay in our home until we die, and we're going to live on the metaverse until we, freaking perish and just get into the coffin. I put it into Bitcoin, put it into Ethereum, put it into Chainlink, even put it into XRP, and all those plays ended up going very, very well for me. But we have to understand the risk, understand the storm that we are staring down. This is not for the faint of heart. And if 20, 30% dips are going to make you lose your mind, make you lose your shit, and you will be blown out by them, then you're not going to make it. You have to be prepared for absolute chaos and what's coming over the next few years. It's going to be very, very brutal. Now, this, just a side note, Black Lives Matter executive director was charged with embezzling $3.5 million to her personal account. Man, she found a way to outpace inflation. Am I right? Really great work. Put the money into properties, cars, trips to Jamaica, and now she's been indicted on it. Hope you spend the rest of your life in fucking prison. Now, Kobe solving the 1,700 Coinbase customer tickets, now seeing Jesse Pollock aping into Soulja Boy's latest rug pull. Please, for the love of God, do not go get rugged by Soulja Boy. He has rugged people time and time again. And also, if you see people on Twitter that have JPEGs that have gone to zero, right? If you see just meme coins out of their portfolio and out of their profile for the last few years, and now they're the ones bitching about the great depression in crypto, it's because they got absolutely destroyed holding these insanely risky assets with the vast majority of their portfolio. They're going to be the loudest saying that things are over, saying that the time frame for doom and gloom is upon us. Now, what I'm looking at is a hyperinflationary storm where Bitcoin does have a pretty strong chance at performing very, very well in the light of. Government printing is about to hit levels we have only seen a few times in US history. The monetary system is probably going to double again. We thought it was over with the 2020 print and doubling the money supply then. Just wait until you see what happens when $9 trillion of US debt comes due. The regular market's not willing to buy that US debt, and the Federal Reserve has to step in as the buyer of last resort. This causes near hyperinflation, right? Rough estimates, conservative estimates put this at a 20% inflation rate over the next few years. This means that you have to act very, very aggressively to keep up or outpace that inflation. It won't be that Bitcoin's going up and you're winning. It's that your Bitcoin, your gold, your hard assets are going to keep up with the amount of money that's being introduced into the system, right? So now with this, Ethereum's getting a little extra love. Obviously, it's bullish news, but not a bullish day. JP Morgan is launching their tokenized money market fund on Ethereum. And also, BitTensor Tau might have a great entry point from this storm. It just had its first halving on the 14th. Good tokenomics, solid team, very intelligent holders, and a tangible use case within the ecosystem of AI, which I think has a great, great upside in the future. So actually, I don't care about vast majority of these altcoins, or especially right now. Go check out Tau, because I like Tau. 267, I want it cheap, right? The Craigslist mixed connection might not be the misconnection for me after all. I'm being brutally stubborn, and I'm looking for the low 200s on this bad boy. I'm going to keep tracking this as we head through the week and see if I can find that wonderful entry point. Yeah, I like Tau quite a bit. There's not many coins, especially altcoins, that I can put my hat on and say, yeah, I'm going after this. The tokenomic design, the use case within AI, and the people behind this project make me very, very bullish on it. This is a great account, Greg Chevy. I'm going to give him a follow here and actually repost this because it's a great write-up on Betensor Tau. And I really, really appreciate your work behind the scenes on this. So we are going into the great unknown. We are going into the great unknown. I'm not saying that the next few years is going to be easy by any degree. I do implore you to stay mentally focused, mentally based through this time frame. It's going to be a whipsaw. Oh, Lord, Alex Jones and Yay podcast. Oh, and then he pulled out the net and Yahoo drink. Holy God, I have to go check that out. Staking Tau on Uphold. How are you guys thinking of Arrow at 50 cents? I like Arrow at 50 cents. We'll probably get that entry point with all this craziness going on this week. Probably going to see it. And I like Aerodrome, right? I like Aerodrome. I like Morpho. I like Tau. I like Ethereum. I like Bitcoin, right? It's a pretty simple bag. And then I have high risk plays that I'm going to see if they pan out, but they're like 1% of the portfolio. So I'm risking it for the biscuit. I completely understand. If you are over allocated in these projects, it might be time to just take a look at good old Bitcoin, especially as it gets near previous all-time highs at around the $65,000 to $70,000 mark. Now, in 2026, still think that the risk on appetite, seeing the near doubling of the money supply coming in again, will probably help Bitcoin a lot. And with that, maybe the tides will rise for some of these good altcoins, but it's going to be a very, very selective altcoin season, if in anything, in 2026. So just stay focused. It's really a time where, people that are over allocated in vaporware are going to feel the pain, right? Do not be over allocated in vaporware. If you must hold a deep alt, make sure that there's revenue in it. Make sure that there's a chance for it to actually succeed in the light of what's coming, because things are getting crazy out there. Let's see here, 3 p.m. Senate vote. Yep, we're going to be covering that. Yeah, is Morpho actually up? I didn't even look at the bag here. Let's go check out Morpho. Yeah, because I saw the Aave problems. Let's go look at Morpho on just price, and then we'll check out it on DeFi Llama. Holy shit. We're actually up, like somehow. Wow. So I got near $1 at about $1.09, and then that Aave news might be driving some love into Morpho. That's fantastic. Ondo, we got to have a deep talk about with Veteran Crypto here. Very questionable. Very questionable. So the TVL hasn't spiked too crazy on Morpho, just the price, some speculation on it. I'll be interested to see if the actual TVL grows, because Aave is probably still in the leader seat by a long shot on lending. Let's see if the lending and kind of the TVL on Aave is leaving currently. Slight little dip right now, down, but no massive like migratory flow. So maybe just some speculation, some hope coming for Morpho. But Arrow's pretty simple for me, Devlin. I think that it's kind of the liquidity golden child for the base ecosystem. We talked about more Arrow. I feel like I talk about Arrow too much, and still in this environment, I'm not going to get overly exposed to Aerodrome. Like, I want more Bitcoin. I'll take the slight plays on these altcoins, but I really would like to see Bitcoin get at least near that previous $100,000 range before the altcoins are, really starting to cook again. Right. That's what I'm kind of looking for right now. So just be careful out there. Don't get your back blown out trying to make it all back in one trade. That is how you will cause perpetual pain in your life. I love you guys, and I want the best for this community. If you got ideas on different projects that you want to look at, go drop them to me in the Blockchain Basement Discord or the Discover Investments Group Discord. I will be in both of those. It's a crazy time to be alive, and I do implore you, if you have the physical ability, go train. Go train. There are billions of people on whatever side of the fence that is on the opposite of you that are on the edge of civil unrest. And a lot of the aggravations within central banking is taken out in real time on neighbors when things hit that civil unrest moment. So please be careful out there. Stay trained, and I'll see you on the next episode.